Pokémon Champions released on mobile about a week ago. I'd never played competitive Pokémon seriously before. 7 days after release, I hit Master Ball as an absolute beginner. Here's how. First, let's begin with outlining the entire journey, and then I'll go into a bit of depth into the teams I was using to climb, and finally, a few games to show the teams in action. I started on the day of the mobile release of Pokémon Champions, and got to Master Ball 6 days later. This was my journey. Here's my battle record. On the first day, I went 10-4. Not bad for a complete beginner, but everyone else I'd been playing against likely had been beginners too. This record got me from Poké Ball into Great Ball. I was feeling really good about myself. After all, I'd been a total noob until the end of the day, right? I'd carry this momentum from day 1 into day 2, where I'd go 9-2. This catapulted me from the Great Ball ranks right into Ultra Ball 4. Here, I was ecstatic. I didn't think it'd be this fast until I got to Ultra Ball 4, so I must be doing something right. On the third day, progress was slower. I'd win 2 games and lose 1, then win 2 more, and repeat. On this day, I'd go 7-3, barely managing to squeeze my way into Ultra Ball 3. It was definitely getting tougher. Up until now, I'd only used one main team from Poké Ball until Ultra Ball 3. I'd only been using my Mega Frostlass team, but that was about to change really soon. The fourth day saw massive changes for me. In the first half, I'd remain using my Mega Frostlass team. However, I'd begin to lose a lot more. I was unable to properly adapt, and piloting the team against meta threats like Mega Charizard Y and Rain teams became more difficult. After a while of switching pieces in and out and failing to find any success, instead of sticking with it further, I decided to switch to a Mega Swampert Rain team. Switching mid-climb is not the best idea if you want to climb smoothly, but I thought that change was necessary to remain competitive, even if it was a bit drastic. I'd end this day with a record of 9 wins and a whopping 12 losses. By the end of the day, I was exhausted. I was back to where I started earlier in the day, still in Ultra Ball 3. Because not only did I try to make my original team work, I had to begin completely learning a new team. For the next 2 days, I'd be trading wins and losses. I'd be switching out certain Pokemon to see what would work and what wouldn't. On day 5, I'd have a record of 7 wins and 6 losses, barely going positive for the day. A similar story would play out on day 6. I'd have 6 wins and 5 losses, barely managing to get into the higher end of Ultra Ball 3. These last 2 days, I just try and see what worked and what didn't, against what teams, watching as much content as I could and playing as much as my energy throughout the day would allow. By day 7, I'd finally gotten a good enough grasp of my Mega Swampert Rain team. I would carry the momentum from my last win on day 6 into day 7, starting off with 2 wins, then I'd lose 2, then I'd win 1, and then I'd lose 1 more. But this was not the end for me. After my last loss, I managed to lock in hard enough that I'd go on a 5-win streak, blowing past Ultra Ball 2 and 1 right into Master Ball, where I currently stand now. By the end of my climb, my total record was 56 wins and 35 losses, with a solid amount of those losses being against Mega Staraptor, a roughly 62% win rate to get into Master Ball 4. So now I'll be going into the teams I used. I won't be going into too much detail, just broad strokes of the composition and strategies used when playing, as I'll be going into more depth in upcoming videos, so stay tuned. This was my final Mega Frostlass team, but it was not the first iteration of this team. Originally, instead of Milotic, I had a Choice Scarf Arcanine, and with this lineup, I'd usually open with Mega Frostlass and Whimsicott. The general strategy of this lineup was at first to have Whimsicott set up Tailwind and Mega Frostlass use Blizzard as a sweeper, as its ability Snow Warning would turn the weather into hail, turning the inaccurate Blizzard into a 100% accurate spread move. Then, I'd keep Sneasler and Dragonite in the back, or occasionally my Sylveon. Arcanine was really just there for coverage and set dress. This was the strategy I'd use to breeze through Poké Ball into Great Ball. But by Great Ball, I needed to modify the team. I'd begin to encounter a lot more Incineroar, and I was sick of it. So I'd get rid of Arcanine and have Milotic with leftovers as a bulky tank with its ability competitive to counter Incineroar's Intimidate. Instead of lowering my Milotic's attack, it would raise it. This would change how I play with this team, as instead of going for fast sweeps with Blizzard, I'd instead opt for a slower, more setup-based approach with Aurora Veil, which lowers the damage taken from special and physical attacks, and I'd set up with Coil on my Milotic, raising its defense, making it even more of a nuisance, and raising its attack, making it more dangerous. And from there, I'd use Muddy Water and Blizzard to sweep enemy teams. This setup would do pretty well against Tyranitar and Sand teams, and it had a pretty decent matchup into Hard Trick Room as well, because even if Frostlass would move last, Aurora Veil gave it enough staying power to be able to get Blizzard off, and Milotic was already a pretty tanky Pokemon. So if I felt that setting up wasn't necessary, I just used Blizzard and Muddy Water turn 1, and tried to sweep from there. Occasionally, in this version of the team, I'd open with Frostlass and Whimsicott and go for my usual hyper-offensive style, but it was also at this point in the journey where I'd begin to lose Weather Wars against Mega Charizard Y and Pelipper, making it difficult for me to justify its constant use. Which takes us into my Mega Swampert team, the team that carried me into Master Ball. This is the current iteration of the team. However, this was not the final form of the team, as I'd mentioned earlier, I was also experimenting and trying to figure out how to play with a rain team. At some point, I had Sneasler in there. I even had Whimsicott learn Beat Up to raise Arcalodon's defense stat through its ability Stamina, though that was short-lived. I had Choice Scarf Basculegion, which worked really well for a while, having Choice Scarf Basculegion using Head Smash one-hit KO Mega Charizard. Eventually, I'd have a lineup of Mega Swampert, Focus Sash Pelipper, Light Clay Sableye, Choice Scarf Basculegion, Citrus Berry Sinistra, and Leftovers Arcalodon. This was the main team until I started running into problems with Mega Staraptor. I'd be able to play against most other teams and styles, but I'd just get beat by Mega Staraptor. Most of my losses actually came from Mega Staraptor, which leads me to the final iteration of the team. After a long time thinking, which was about 10 minutes, I decided to purchase the Battle Pass for one single Pokemon, Mega Metagross. Instead of Choice Scarf Basculegion, I'd switch it out for Mega Metagross, and I'd have Sableye learn Swagger instead of Foul Play. This would guarantee that if I ever felt like the opener would be Mega Staraptor, I would ruin its day by using Swagger to double drop its attack, and then use Psychic Fangs to one-hit KO it through the screen set up by its usual partner Grimmsnarl. And I would only ever get to use it once, because by then the Staraptor craze fell through, and Mega Metagross ended up being set dressing just like Arcanine. But hey, it's a good matchup into Floette, and Rain covers for its weaknesses against Charizard Y. The general idea of this team is still simple. Mega Swampert wipes everything out. Arcalodon will be the backup sweeper if Swampert can't do it, and Sinistra would be the main support, with Mega Metagross being the main sweeper if the enemy calls for it. Of course, there's nuance to all this depending on the matchup, but the idea remains the same. Swampert, go commit violence. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump into a few games. I'll be doing casual for the Mega Frostlass team as I'm not quite comfortable with it anymore, and for the Mega Swampert team, I'll be doing rank. For these games, I will be doing commentary over the gameplay, as I could not record live commentary. Enjoy! This matchup for me isn't a particularly bad one, as they don't have any weather setters, and I'm thinking, oh, they're probably just gonna go with Mega Raichu and Whimsicott at the start, bring Garchomp in the back, maybe Incineroar or Kingambit, but I doubt they're gonna bring Sylveon, so I started with Frostlass and Milotic because they have no weather setter. They're generally pretty squishy if it's a Whimsicott Raichu, which it is. My read was correct. Okay, my thought process was correct there. So here I'm just thinking, okay, nothing can really threaten my Frostlass, so I'm just gonna go click Blizzard, like Mega Evolve and Blizzard, and I'm gonna protect onto my Milotic because I'm terrified of the Zap Cannon. I'm still waiting to see if my Frostlass is going to be faster than the Raichu. So the Raichu Mega Evolves into Raichu X. I think that's Raichu X, which is rare because I usually go against Raichu Ys, but that's fine. They both present a similar challenge, I guess. Snow Warning comes up. Their Whimsicott uses Protect, which is a good idea because Blizzard would take it out unless it was wearing Focus Sash. And here my Frostlass moves ahead of their Raichu, which would like with my Frostlass moving first, this would inform my decision. Zap Cannon into Milotic, so my read was correct. Protect was a good idea. And here Blizzard would be like clicking Blizzard is completely fine for me, and setting up with Coil is okay because I've already seen that my Frostlass is faster than the Raichu. Just a bit of connection here. I'm thinking what they could possibly use. Maybe they're gonna set up Tailwind, as they didn't set up Tailwind last time. So they withdraw their Raichu, and then they bring out Incineroar here, I think. Yep, they bring out Incineroar. And Intimidate comes out, but it's gonna be good for my Milotic because of competitive. And Whimsicott uses Encore onto Milotic, which I did not expect. It's a very... like, okay. I did not expect it. I thought it was going to be Tailwind. So Blizzard into Whimsicott and Incineroar. Takes down Whimsicott to 1% and Incineroar, just a bit of chip damage. Here I'm going to switch out the Milotic. I'm thinking of switching Milotic out because it's already Encored and it's not going to be very useful against this field. So I'm switching him out to Sneasler. Because with Sneasler, I'd have Fake Out pressure on the next turn, and I'd have close combat onto that Incineroar, if ever. And if they bring Garchomp, and if it's Garchomp in the back, then Frostlass would take care of him really quickly. Sneasler was a good switch in here. And if it's King Gambit in the back, then okay. So they withdraw Whimsicott, they bring out King Gambit, which is great for me because Frostlass just one-shots this. My bad. Sneasler just one-shot this guy. Though it's a bit of... I have to watch out here because they might be using Sucker Punch next turn, but, you know. Frostlass is faster than both of them. Okay, so Incineroar goes for Throat Chop, and I'm thinking, okay. Here, I'm considering what to do, right? I'm choosing between Aurora Veil or Protect, as I'm faster here. Or switching out entirely, but I think I go for Protect here because I'm scared of Sucker Punch or Throat Chop. I don't think Sucker Punch would work, but okay, so it's close combat and it's probably going to be into the King Gambit slot here, as King Gambit would be the one that shows a more immediate threat to me because Kowtow and other moves. So Frostlass goes into Protect. Sneasler goes for close combat, which is great. One-shots the King Gambit. And White Herb should proc, making my Sneasler so much faster. Okay, so there's the White Herb. And then Incineroar uses Throat Chop into my Frostlass's Protect. Okay, this is good for me. Whether they bring out Raichu or Whimsicott doesn't really matter at this point. Maybe Whimsicott will bring out Encore again or some other setup move, but it's not really an issue as my Sneasler is so much faster than everyone else on this field. So I just click Blizzard and then close combat into the Incineroar slot to take it out. Like, it's not a... The moves here are relatively simple. It's not a stressful set to think about. Just communicating. I don't know what they would be possibly doing. Maybe they're gonna switch something out or switch it in, but the only thing they have in the back is Raichu and it would just go out. Okay, so Whimsicott uses Encore into my Frostlass, which is a bit annoying, but not the end of the world. Close combat goes into Incineroar and takes it out. So now it's just a Raichu and a Whimsicott that's both extremely low health, and Sneasler will just be able to clean it up. Okay, Raichu comes out. Now here, I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to switch out Frostlass into either Milotic or Sylveon. I go for Sylveon because of the quick attack that I have on it. and close combat into the Raichu, as that's the one that would be the most threatening to me at this moment. Though Whimsicott still has a few threats of its own. Moonblast could one-shot my Sneasler, I think. But we have Sylveon's quick attack in the next turn, so it's not really an issue. The end is coming close, basically. Sneasler takes out the Raichu, which is great, and the Whimsicott uses Moonblast, okay, and it would one-shot Sneasler. But that's fine. That's completely fine. We have 3 healthy Pokemon, and they only have a 1% health Whimsicott. Okay, so they end in a forfeit, and you know, it demonstrates how I just use this set basically, which is just Frostlass, go click Blizzard, and anyone else just switches in and out depending on utility. So here, I'll be combating against a rain team, which is honestly quite good for me because I have a lot of experience with rain teams now. Like, it's my preferred team, so I go with Frostlass and Sneasler because I want the fake out pressure from Sneasler. And I'm thinking, okay, they might start with Sableye and Swampert, or Pelipper and Swampert, just to be rid of my rain, but it's most likely going to be Sableye and Swampert, and I keep Sylveon and Milotic in the back instead of Dragonite because Swampert could very easily get rid of my Dragonite, so that's the thought process there. So they do start with Sneasler and Sableye, which I found a bit odd because I thought they would start with Swampert, but hey, it's fine. It's not really that big of a threat, so it's just Mega Evolve into Blizzard, and I'm debating whether or not I should fake out or just use close combat. The correct move here would have been fake out and then hoping for a speed tie, and I'd win the speed tie against their Sneasler, but I just decided to click close combat on the off chance that they're not going to be using close combat. Like, if they Dire Claw into my Frostlass and I close combat into their Sneasler, then White Herb procs, and it's gonna be so much better for my Sneasler throughout the battle. So I Mega Evolve, Snow comes in, their Sneasler fakes my Sneasler out, which isn't really a surprise. Sableye sets up a Light Screen, and the Light Screen will definitely lower the amount of damage that they'll be taking from Blizzard. See, it's barely any chip, it's about 30% each. Again, it's like, okay, that doesn't really matter, I'll just go click Blizzard again, and I bring out my Milotic because Sneasler isn't really going to be doing much in this matchup, I think. Or at least at this portion of the matchup. See, okay, so I switch out. And I'm just waiting, you know. So they also switched their Sneasler out into a Pelipper, which is unfortunate for me as, you know, the weather, but it's not that bad because Milotic is a water type and it will have more, like, it'll do more damage. So their Sableye goes for Reflect, and Frostlass still hits both with the Blizzard, brings down Pelipper to 1. There's a lot of damage, a crit, but Focus Sash is there, so, you know, what can you do? It's a generally common item, so it's not that big of a deal for me to see. I switch in my Sneasler from my Frostlass because Blizzard is down. Like, Blizzard is going to be inaccurate due to the rain, and I want that pressure for weather so like I can switch back in and win that weather war, so that's why. And I just click Muddy Water into them because of the rain, and it'll do more stab and stuff. So they switch out their Sneasler, their Sableye, sorry, for a Swampert and Hurricane into the Sneasler slot, which is a good read from them. I think they expected that I'd switch my Frostlass out. It's a good read, it's a really good read, but we trade Pokemon here. Sneasler for Pelipper, and then I think they're gonna bring their Sneasler back out here. I'm almost certain of it, so I bring out my... I bring back Frostlass to set the snow back up, and, you know, just click Blizzard and win. That's my win condition, basically, right? So Frostlass goes back out, and Sableye comes back in. And here I was thinking, okay, they probably don't have Rain Dance on that Sableye. So I just clicked Blizzard again and then Scald into Swampert, which is like, okay, I was completely wrong. Their Sableye runs Rain Dance like mine does, and Blizzard now just misses the Sableye. It hits the Swampert, but it, you know, does enough damage to freeze it and bring it down. At least. Scald will take it out in the next turn. I wasn't really scared of the Wave Crash at first, and then I saw it one-shot my Frostlass, and I did not expect that. I knew Mega Swampert could do that, but I did not think a regular Swampert would be able to take out Mega Frostlass so easily. But that's probably because there's no snow up. Scald takes out their Swampert, and they end the battle due to forfeit. I still have a few healthy Pokemon. I don't know what they could have possibly brought in the back. I think they could have played it out, but hey, kudos to them, right? GG. So this match was very interesting for me. It was definitely a winnable match, but a few outplays and misplays led me to losing. So I'd start with Swampert and Sableye into their Mega Charizard team, because the Sableye I have uses Rain Dance, and I was thinking, okay, I'll just win the Weather War through that. So they bring out Charizard and Incineroar, and I have Swampert and Sableye. So now here I'm thinking of one of two things. Whether this guy's gonna protect first turn or not. I just think, okay, Wave Crash into Charizard is like, either way, it works for me. It's great. And I'm thinking, okay, Sableye brings in the Rain, because Rain would proc after the Mega Evolution, so I just use Rain Dance, right? That's my thought process. So Swampert Mega Evolves, and, you know, whether or not Wave Crash hits because there's Fake Out from Incineroar, it doesn't really matter, as I'm thinking, okay, I'll just win. But their Charizard uses Protect and doesn't Mega Evolve at all, so now here I'm like, okay, I might be a bit screwed. Rain Dance comes in, it rains, Swampert's Wave Crash goes into the protected Charizard, and the Incineroar taunts my Sableye, which means my Sableye is basically useless. This thing doesn't know any attacking moves, because all my Sableye knows are setup moves and non-attacking moves. I don't have Foul Play on this thing anymore. So instead of switching out, I accidentally, like, okay, so I protect into my Swampert because I have a feeling that they're gonna Mega Evolve and then the Solar Beam's gonna come into my Swampert, and I accidentally click Fight instead of switching my Sableye. And it's just going to struggle into the Incineroar slot, which is, okay, that's gonna be terrible. Swampert uses Protect, the Sunlight's out, and their Charizard uses Solar Beam, so my read was correct, but you know, it's gonna be one of the few reads I get correct here, but I'm gonna get a lot more wrong. Parting Shot goes into Sableye. Huh, okay. Parting Shot goes into Sableye, and it brings out their Sinistcha, I think, here. Okay, yep, just waiting. Still waiting. I should start whistling. Anyways, okay, so Sinistcha comes out, and Sableye has nothing left, so it just struggles into the Sinistcha slot and takes a lot of damage from recoil. You'll see this happen another time. So I think, okay, Wave Crash into the Charizard slot, even though it's hot as piss. Goes out, I switch into Pelipper to bring the rain back in. And Incineroar comes out. This would be the third lowering of my attack, and you'll see that Incineroar is such a monstrous opponent if you don't know how to prepare for it. And Garchomp comes back out, or like Garchomp comes out now. Wave Crash goes into Incineroar. Oh my goodness, I did not click. Okay, so I did not switch into Pelipper here. I was intending to, but I click Fight again, and Sableye just struggles against Garchomp, and it'll just take more damage. With the Sun Up and the 3 attack downs, the Wave Crash doesn't really do much of anything. Okay, so here I think I can finally switch my Pelipper in. Okay, so I switched. I think I'm gonna do a double switch here. Arcaludon and Pelipper. So here I'm looking through my attacks whether or not any of them can do any damage, but they're all physical, so it's gonna be an Archaludon switch with Pelipper. I double switch out because I have no other choice here. They bring out their Sinistcha, heals up that Incineroar. And here I was thinking, oh, this guy likes to pivot in and out with his guys, and it's gonna be a tough one. Archaludon comes out. Pelipper comes back out here. Like Pelipper finally comes out here and sets up the rain. And here I have another thought. Okay, so parting shot into Pelipper doesn't really matter all too much. It's just one down so far, like one lowering of the stat. And Charizard comes back out. So now I'm thinking of one or two things here. It's, do I switch Swampert in or not? Okay, so I protect onto Archaludon as I don't really have much of anything, and I decide to switch in Sableye here so that I can pivot out when it faints and bring Pelipper out. Pelipper comes in, or Sableye comes in, and will promptly get knocked out. So they withdraw their Sinistcha, they bring out their Incineroar. The attack drop is a bit of a nuisance, but that's fine. Archaludon protects, and the Solar Beam goes into the... No, the Heat Wave goes into the... Archaludon and hits my Sableye. So now I can bring Pelipper in. Like, I can bring Pelipper in and maybe I'll have a shot here. Just waiting here. Riveting. Pelipper comes in. Rain comes up. And now I have a few options, but realistically I only have one thought in my mind, so it's going to be Electro Shot into which slot? I thought that them like Electro-shotting the Charizard would be too obvious, so I decided to Electro-shot into the Incineroar slot because I had a feeling Garchomp was gonna switch in. So Garchomp switch in, and I have Weather Ball into that slot, and it does a very good amount of damage actually. A crit would have taken it out, but you know, what can you do? So Electro-shot procs, boosts my attack back up, and goes into the Incineroar. Does half, and the Citrus Berry just heals it back up. This is gonna be a tough one. So Parting Shot goes into Archaludon, lowers the attack again, so the boost was basically useless. And now I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be Charizard again, for sure. And now I have another thought here, which is, how do I win this Weather War again? How do I bring out that rain? So I just think, okay, Dragon Pulse into the Garchomp slot, and if they switch out, then it's just a bit of chip damage, and I'm considering a few things here. I think I go Protect into Pelipper here, actually. As I think that they think that I'll switch into my Swampert for a pivot, so I Protect into Pelipper, and they switch their Garchomp out and bring back Incineroar, which, okay, lowers my attack even more. You see how difficult this was for me? I just kept on getting, like, pivoted in and out. They played extremely well. Solar Beam comes out, and it's gonna go into the Pelipper slot. So my read there was correct, but the Dragon Pulse isn't really going to do much. Brings Incineroar to 25% HP, but, you know, it's already had 2 double drops in attack, or like 2 drops in attack. And now here I'm considering, okay, if I just Dragon Pulse into that slot again, and if they bring out Sinistcha, or if they bring out Garchomp, Garchomp goes down, Sinistcha would just, you know, it takes decent chip. And another consideration for me was, should I switch Swampert in? So I think I'm gonna switch Swampert in here, because I don't think that they're going to Solar Beam into that slot. But I was you'll see soon that I was very mistaken. Fake Out goes into Archelodon, okay, stamina boost, which is, okay, decently fine. It's fine for me. And Solar Beam comes out, and here I was hoping it was gonna go into my Archelodon. But it went into the Swampert slot, and now Swampert is dead. I don't really have much hope getting back into the game here, but I think I can do something with it. A little something here and there. Leftovers brings me back up to full HP, and it's gonna be Pelipper back out soon with the rain. So here I'm considering another few options. With the rain out, it'll take at least one more turn or two more turns. They'll switch out and then they'll switch back in. So it'll take a bit before the sun comes back up. But I go with Hurricane into the Charizard slot, as I felt like they were gonna switch into something else, and they switched into Sinistcha, which is great for me. And Dragon Pulse into the Incineroar slot, because I had a feeling that Garchomp might come out. But either way, the Pokemon that's gonna come in for that slot is gonna go out. So Pelipper takes out Sinistcha, which is good, and Dragon Pulse takes out the Incineroar. But that would mean that Charizard and Garchomp are gonna come back out, and I don't really have an answer to the weather. And Heat Wave is gonna do a lot of damage here. So now I'm thinking, okay, I can definitely still win, but it's gonna be a hard ask. It's a big ask. Because even if my Pokemon here have more health, they have the weather advantage. And it's like, okay, I was hoping, okay, I was playing Hope Chess here. I clicked Dragon Pulse into the Garchomp slot here, and I was hoping that they weren't gonna protect. And the correct play here for me with Pelipper would have been to set up Tailwind instead of Hurricane, this move. But I was wrong. Garchomp protects. My Heat Wave comes out. My Dragon Pulse is gonna go into absolutely nothing, and the Hurricane is half accurate in the sun. I just learned this today, actually. My Archelodon gets burnt, which is okay. Salt in the wound. It doesn't matter about the attack drop, because it's a special attacker, but it takes out my leftovers, so I can't really just stall and try to regen some HP there. Stamina proc, but you know, too little too late, I think. So now it's just Dragon Pulse again into the Garchomp slot, and hoping that the Heat Wave misses. I protect onto... oh, so it's not Dragon Pulse, okay, so it's protect onto Archelodon, and I set up Tailwind now, which is, again, too little too late. Or I'm considering Weather Ball here, but I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be Tailwind, or I can't even protect. Yeah, so it's just Tailwind. Yeah, I was a bit frazzled for sure. I was thinking I could have definitely won this if I didn't muck that up. Rock Slide comes in, takes out Pelipper. Unfortunately, it did not dodge, you know. And here I just resign. I resign. It's like, okay, I forfeit. I'm not gonna be able to do much here. There is no winning chance for me anymore. You can see how I got outplayed really badly, and a few decisions of mine and a few misclicks and whatnot led to me losing here, but I hope you can learn something from this at least, you know? Right, so what I'm thinking here at the opening with this matchup is that it's gonna be a Metagross and Whimsicott start with Incineroar or Garchomp in the back. So I'm just gonna start with Swampert and Pelipper, as they don't have any sort of weather setters, and if they do bring Rotom to counter anything, Swampert can very easily one-shot that thing, or at least do big enough damage as a threat, right? And they do start out with Whimsicott and Metagross here, so it was a good read by me then, right? Drizzle comes out, and here my only move is, okay, high horsepower right into the Metagross. If they're going to protect, it's fine. I'm gonna set up a Tailwind because I'm also thinking that the Whimsicott is gonna Tailwind. I was considering Hurricane into Whimsicott, but if it's wearing a Focus Sash, then it would be a wasted turn, sort of, for me, so. My Swampert is Mega Evolving here. And what I'm thinking is that high horsepower knocks out that Metagross easily, because that's what's been, like, that's what I know, right? The damage roll for Swampert should be high enough. At least with every other Metagross I've fought so far. So the Whimsicott sets up Tailwind, which I also expected. And my Tailwind should be getting up soon. Metagross using Psychic Fangs, I thought, okay, it wouldn't be a threat, but the crit definitely does change how things look for me for a bit. Because clearly this thing is faster than my Swampert, and high horsepower doesn't one-shot it, which made me think, oh, okay, so this thing's more bulky then. It's bulky and fast, which is a bit of a concern, but here I'm considering maybe just going straight for the high horsepower, but then I remembered that it outsped my Swampert in the rain, so I'm just gonna protect Swampert. And here, I think I go for Weather Ball right into the Metagross instead of Hurricane onto Whimsicott, because if it's, you know, get rid of the biggest threat first, right? So Swampert protects here, and it goes for Bullet Punch. So it was fortunate for me for protecting, because Bullet Punch has Prio and it would knock it out. The Moonblast takes Pelipper down to about below half, but it's not a concern. So Weather Ball comes in, finishes off that Metagross, and their big attacking threat is gone. Now I'm thinking what is going to come out, and they bring out their Incineroar, which, okay, it's definitely interesting, but I have Wave Crash and Weather Ball into it if I really need to double up. But the smarter move here for me should have been to switch into Archaludon because of Fake Out. Like, that thing's gonna Fake Out my Swampert and whatnot, but okay, so it's Ice Punch into the Whimsicott. The Fake Out comes in, takes out my Swampert, and I have Weather Ball right into the Incineroar. But I also conveniently forgot, I guess it slipped my mind, right, that Moonblast was there, so I'm down 2 Pokemon now. But it's not really a concern, or like, I'm not really that scared of it at the moment, because their Metagross is gone, and if I play this pretty smart, then I'll be alright. So my Sinistcha comes out, my Archaludon comes out, and I'm thinking, okay, Electro Shot into where? I need these Electro Shot boosts. So it's Electro Shot into the Incineroar, and I'm considering Rage Powder. But if that Incineroar attacks into Sinistcha and Moonblast, you know, Moonblast goes into Archaludon, but if I Rage Powder there, then Sinistcha would be gone, which wouldn't be good for me. So I get the Stamina boost from the Whimsicott and the attack boost from Electro Shot into that Whimsicott. Overall, I think it was a pretty good turn. I mean, into the Incineroar, my bad, misspoke. So I go for Matcha Gotcha here instead, and I get a very fortunate burn here, which does slightly alter the way I'll play the rest of this game. Incineroar Citrus Berry comes out, so Throat Chop comes out, and now I'm seeing, okay, so they can definitely take out Sinistcha here, which is going to be extremely difficult if it does take out Sinistcha. So Tailwind goes down, and now here I'm considering, I look for the rain, and I'm like, okay, I think I get one more Electro Shot in, and it's into the Incineroar slot? No, it's, here I was considering, okay, they might switch out, and if it's a Garchomp and I switch, and I shoot into the Incineroar, I'm basically screwed, so it's gonna be life due for my Sinistcha. I'm basically just reading, right? I'm reading it, and I'm hoping. Okay, so Garchomp does come out, which is a great read by me, right? Moonblast shouldn't take out Sinistcha. Takes it down very low. but the Citrus Berry procs and then Life Juice should be coming in, and I get a free boost. I get another boost of attack, so now I have a double boosted Archaludon. Here I thought that the Electro Shot was going to be enough to take it out, as it's double boosted, but I saw 6% and I was like, okay, the Fire should take it out, the Burn should take it out, but the Burn doesn't take it out. So Life Dew comes in, Burn only range done, so I got my double boost there, and my Archaludon's back to full HP because of leftovers, and Burn procs, and it keeps that Whimsicott alive. Here I'm not really threatened by what the Garchomp might do. Like, even if it's faster, I don't think Earthquake takes out any of my Pokemon here, so I just go for like Life Dew again just to get my Sinistcha back up to health, and if it switches, you know, watch out for any switch up shenanigans. So the Whimsicott uses Tailwind, okay. And then the Earthquake comes out. It shouldn't take out any of my Pokemon. It takes out the Whimsicott, which is good for me, and then the Life Dew was fortunate. The Life Dew was a good move here, I think, because it brings up my Pokemon. Like, it brings their health back up. Garchomp loses some of its HP. It's using a Life Orb, and then the double boosted Dragon Pulse takes it out. So now, from a 3v2, it's now just a 1v2, so I still need to be a bit careful here, because even if I'm up 2 Pokemon, this a good crit could change the tide of battle here. So it's gonna be Incineroar that comes out. The Intimidate doesn't really bother my Archaludon. It's already boosted by 2, so you know, it's still pretty strong. And here I was, okay, it's gonna be Dragon Pulse into the Incineroar, and I go for Life Dew instead of Rage Powder, but I'm pretty sure Rage Powder would have been okay here. So Flare Blitz goes out into my Sinistcha, takes it out. I was thinking that if they were going to attack Archaludon, the Life Dew would, you know, bring it back up to health, and then Dragon Pulse just takes out that Incineroar. So it was a good game. I think it was a great game by me. I had a few good reads here. I had some decisions were a bit questionable, but you know, I hope you can learn from these like mistakes that I've made and my thought process here, and I hope you can get something out of it at the very least, right? Hey, the video's over. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some sort of value out of that video, but whether it be education or entertainment or anything in between. Thank you. It really does mean the most that you made it this far. So please, like and subscribe, and do tell me in the comments what you want to see next from me. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. Once again, thank you for watching. It really does mean the most.